down, I believe. Good morning, everybody. This is Tina here today with Lucy, reseller mom, and my friend Jeremy. And today we're going to talk about Jeremy's journey of firing Amazon, essentially. I don't know if you've completely fired Amazon.
I'm trying.
And investing his profits outside of Amazon in the world of crypto and DeFi.
Profits outside of Amazon in the
Who's echoing?
world of crypto and DeFi. Profits outside of Amazon in the world of crypto and DeFi. Profits outside of Amazon in the
Mine are muted.
crypto and DeFi. Profits outside of Amazon in the
Okay, hold on.
crypto and DeFi.
I don't know why this is happening. It's not her. Is it you, Jeremy?
Okay, hold on. It's Tina. Tina, fix it. Sorry, guys. We are getting audio back up. Tina, add yourself back in when you get it fixed. But that happens because YouTube likes to go live on things and then have the sound be automatically on. Anyhow, she is fixing that. So like Tina said, good morning, Jeremy. I hope you're doing well. And I am super curious because this is the first time I've met Jeremy. And I definitely want to hear your story on how you got introduced to crypto and just how things came to be.
Yeah. Well, like many of you guys, I've been selling on Amazon for a while, like over 6 years now. And I was actually, in the ministry and serving in different capacities, churches and ministries, and was just looking into, how do I get a side hustle going? And my friend told me about this Amazon thing, and, everything is like, this isn't real. Every single time you see something new, it was just like, what? He showed me his Seller Central. It's like, man, this, it was the Wild West. It's still kind of the Wild West, but, it was the wild, wild West back, 6-7 years ago. And I got involved in the platform like many of you guys did, and was going around to Walmarts and Targets and, everywhere else's and finding products to sell. And then over the past 2 or 3 years, got really involved just in the online arbitrage space and learning how to, and my specialty was finding things, right? So just being able to use different platforms and analyze, Keepa and all these things and figure out the best ways to sell. And for many of you guys probably are doing awesome still on Amazon, and maybe you have some specific, private label products or wholesale or just other, other special ways that you find inventory. But I've found for myself, especially over the past year or two, just how cutthroat things have been, and Amazon themselves, oftentimes making things difficult. And hopefully Tina will jump back in at some point, but we'll keep going. We'll keep going either way. But and about a year ago, was introduced to a former Amazon seller who was doing really well with algorithmic trading bots on certain platforms, and the idea was you would have Bitcoin or a different crypto on an exchange, and it was relatively safe because, for many of you guys, if you don't know, obviously the crypto space is a brand new space, so there's new technology coming out all the time, new ways of leveraging this technology and in order to make profit. And it seemed like a really relatively safe way to go. And so I got really involved in that about last summer, and was doing okay. And then, of course, if you guys don't know, last November, was like Bitcoin was like way up high and 65K or so, and it came crashing down pretty hard. And so I just left things alone. and was like, well, hopefully it will recover, and still had it in my mind and my heart to be able to, figure out ways of making passive income, and hopefully at some point using crypto. And that was sort of there's Tina.
She's back.
What's up, Tina?
Hi, I had to run into the other office and jump on the other computer. I don't know what's going on.
We're just glad you're back. No worries. That was an exciting start. Now we're here. So I was just kind of sharing my journey, just kind of hopping in. We were just talking about how I got involved with the crypto space. And I have a big passion just in general for, creative passive, and of course, passive income is kind of we throw that word. What do we mean by passive income? I want to throw that out there, right? It means that, because we hear that word and it just sounds magical. It sounds like the land of make-believe or unicorns, and what do we mean? We're talking about something typically that, even with Amazon, obviously you have to put a lot of work into it, but there's a certain amount of work you put in on the front end, right? And then many of us have gone on vacation, and I'm not having to I might look at my phone, but I'm like, praise God, I'm making sales because I set things up a certain way before I went on vacation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've also been on plenty of vacations where I was like, my poor wife, was like, hey, are we gonna do our thing? I'm like, yeah, I'm working, I'm doing my thing at night. I need to talk to some suppliers, or I need to do some sourcing at night or something to make things work. But true passive income just means that there's lots of different ways to do it. Many of you guys have heard of blogging. You can monetize blogs with affiliate marketing. Many people are now utilizing YouTube and having other people create their YouTube for them. And they're basically hands off, just, running a YouTube channel. So there's basically money kind of printing in the background while you live your life. And the reason I have a passion for this is because, I have a passion for people, because really time is money, money is time, in the sense of you're really trading your time for money when it comes to money. And so, then, earlier this year, and we're going to talk a lot more about the opportunities in crypto and how you can get involved in this space later on in the show. But many of you guys might even know, but we have Tina and I have a good friend. He's actually local here in Dallas, Fort Worth. His name's Ryan Reger, and great guy. And he sent out some link on his email, hey, you guys, I found out about this super cool new way to make, passive income. And for me, I've just been grinding, kind of taking things as far as I could with Amazon alone. You can obviously bring on virtual assistants, and my brother and my dad have, been doing my shipping for me. And so I've gotten them involved, and my dad's not selling on Amazon. I've gotten a few other people involved, but for most of you guys, I'd love to maybe hear y'all's perspective, but it's a lot harder. Have you ever had where your friends asked about Amazon? They're like, dude, seems like you're doing really well on Amazon, bro, or whatever.
I had somebody ask me, they're like, oh, so you just set up drop shipping and it's really easy. You don't do anything, right? You make lots of money.
Yeah.
No, not really.
But actually, I really, really wish you were right. I really wish that was the case. But it's not as set it and forget it as you would think, right? For many people. And even just getting started in space, and it's not like if someone really had it in their heart to do it, I wouldn't for sure discourage it. But I think it's a lot harder to get started and actually be successful on Amazon in 2022 than it would have been, 1, 2, 3, 4 years ago. And so, and Tina was connected as well to that webinar. We hadn't met each other yet, but we watched the webinar, and it was really all about what they were calling these passive income engines, but basically using crypto to create, these get involved in these protocols that would basically, whether it's a trading platform, or maybe it's a platform where you utilize what's called staking, and you would stake a certain amount of coins in a protocol. It just means you're putting them in a certain protocol for a certain amount of time, and then they're promising a certain ROI after a certain amount of time, similar to your bank. The problem with most banks, as you guys know, is they're giving you pennies. Yeah, pennies is nice.
Account, yeah.
And so,
and the stock market has been so up and down too.
stock market's been up and down, and I've done trading. Like I've done all the hard things. I promise. Like I did day trading, and it's just not, doesn't work for my personality. There are people who can do it. I know guys right now. Our friend Carl does day trading and as well as crypto, and he dominates it because his mind works like a machine. But I'm like an artist, like emotional, like you don't want me anywhere near a computer trading with your money live.
Right. Same here.
At anywhere, right? I'm gonna sell when it's low and buy when it's high every time, which is the opposite of what you're supposed to do. And so what we're talking about is not sitting in front of a computer screen, right? It's not sitting in front of a computer screen like praying frantically that you enter a trade the right way and exit the trade the right way. And most of even what we're doing is not even with like the big named cryptos per se. Like it's not necessarily with Bitcoin or with Ethereum, but the technology is advanced, guys, to the point where we're dealing with what's called layer 2 cryptos, which means they're kind of cryptos built on the back of others. So I'm not going to get into the technology, but blockchain technology, we're really just dealing with digital money. I've been trying to explain to my wife why this isn't monopoly money that we're printing, right?
I need that explanation too. So
yes, and a lot of these are definitely safer crypto because I was always scared of crypto until I met you guys and got, dabbling with the crypto. I was always afraid of it. To me, it was taboo. Like that's just like what crazy risky people do. It's the same as putting my money on a roulette table here in Las Vegas. And meeting you and the mastermind group that we're involved in, it's like you guys are brilliant. And you really have made crypto feel safer and some of these investments. So I did just want to throw that out there, but go ahead and finish your story.
No, this is great. And I want to hear y'all's input and want this to be an open dialogue. This is awesome. But I will say this, anything you're doing, Amazon is like going to the blackjack table near your house if you don't have good people around you, right? Yeah. So you guys have heard this term, but I really do believe it. You're pretty much going to be the product of the 5 or 6 people that you're around the most. You really are. That's why we see people who get into trouble. It's like if I just look at their friends, I can tell you what happened generally, right? And so, I mean, how many of you guys could say, out there in the Amazon space, what were some of the biggest catalysts you would say? I met this person, or I went to this event, and I connected with other Amazon sellers, and I learned how to do this and this. It probably wasn't, I did a lot of figuring out on my own, and you can do it that way. It's just the hard way. And so let's leverage the power of what we call a mastermind group, or a group where we're coming together. And of course, there's Amazon masterminds, there's crypto masterminds, there's all kinds of masterminds. And how can we leverage the power of crypto or of a certain type of a business to create passive income? Yeah. And so, Tina and myself jumped in May. And of course, Tina's been, sharing the opportunity with different people here and there. And the reason it's powerful, guys, is like I said, crypto would be much more risky if it was just like, hey, go figure it out here, go take some of your hard-earned money out of the bank and just go figure it out. I mean, we're not encouraging anyone to do that. What we're saying is, hey, there's a world of opportunities now in crypto, and there's places that actually, the crazy part is you actually have to believe that not everyone is evil and not everyone's trying to take your money. There are plenty of people out there. Go ahead. Yeah.
I think that is, like, at least from my perspective, the hardest part is kind of looking at that world. And there's a lot of language in it that is not in layman terms that you don't understand. I've been trying to learn that language over the last couple of months. And 2, there are a lot of schemes and bad people out there that will rob you blind. And because it's all kind of virtual, it's really hard to know who the good guys are and who the bad guys are. And that is something that I'm also learning, because I've joined several Telegram groups and whatnot, and there's a lot of scammers out there, and I have encountered many of them, and kind of just learning the tools on how to identify what a scam is. It's kind of like, we have scammers that email you, You have to learn how to identify what a scam email is, or the next thing you know, you're going to get hacked, either your identity or your money. But it is very, very, I told my husband, I'm like, it's like learning a whole new language. And it's fascinating. I'm absolutely fascinated. I sit at night and I read all the Telegram groups and the postings. And the more I'm reading it, the more I'm understanding it and understanding what it all means. But it is not something that you could just meet somebody in the grocery line and be like, hey, invest in this. Right. Whereas the stock market, people kind of know the stock market. It's been around for a long time. It is risky, but they understand it. They see a lot of rich people investing in different things. There's a lot more news coverage, etc. about it. So they feel like that's more real. But it is, to me, just about as risky. I've lost a lot in the stock market because I did some day trading back in the day. And I put a lot of money into a bank that was supposed to be really secure. And I got hosed. And so I'm like, well, you know, it's hard to tell what is going to fold and what is not going to fold these days, because we've had big names go under quickly.
Yeah, it can get really intense. And I would encourage everyone, you know, the on-ramp that you take to get involved in anything is very important, right? Many of you guys can think back to maybe when you got involved with Amazon or you know, and it's not just Amazon. So maybe some of you guys have done other things. You've jumped into the YouTube world, or you've jumped into, and there's certain things obviously that don't, the difference with something like the stock market, right, or crypto, is that typically you have to have even just a little bit of money to get started. Yeah. But same with Amazon. What I've been discovering lately, and I want to be careful because for many of you guys, Amazon's been such an amazing source of income. But I would encourage you, if you're doing it, like, keep going for it. I'm not telling you know, I'm not telling you
them both. I'm doing
them both. Exactly. Yeah. Tina does that. Others do it as well, and you can do both. But for me, I'm over the past 6 months, I've been thinking and just kind of scratching my head and going, man, you know, at this point, Amazon seems more risky than crypto in some ways.
Well, that's because you've had huge success, Jeremy. And it's like, I don't know if you feel comfortable sharing your numbers, but
I'm going to share. Yeah, I definitely want to share. I want to share some of my numbers. But what do I mean by more risky? Yes, my numbers are good, but I just mean like I've been in a season where it's like every time I buy something, Amazon's like, no, you actually can't sell that, even though we said that you could sell that. Yeah. You know, you jump on a listing that only had 2 sellers on it, and then it has, you know, 50 sellers. You know, once it gets those types of things. My point is, with Amazon, we're analyzing data, right?
Yes.
And we're trying to go, oh, okay, like, you know, this looks like, all we can look at is the history of something, right? And go, okay, well, historically, this is sold. Historically, this is a good product. And then sometimes you're testing something. Maybe you find a decent replenishable item and you're like, I think this will sell, and you test it out and you go back and buy a bunch more because it does work. And that model can work well. I'm just saying you have to, we call it hedging, right? You're not buying one product. You're hopefully selling hundreds of products. You're going wide, not just deep. And it's the same in the crypto space. Yeah. So definitely want to share some of my wins. I will say, just like Reseller Mom was mentioning, I've been hosed a few different times. And what we're going to be talking about later too is what does it look like to join with a group of people who can kind of hold your hand while you walk into the crypto space and step by step teach you what it looks like to make passive income, so that you're not it's not just some scam guy, you know, who's like, because I talked to those guys, right?
Yes.
And these opportunities sound good. Here's the tricky part. For many of you out there, it honestly sounds too good to be true. And for some of you, that will actually keep you out of the opportunity.
Yeah.
This can't be real. And this is the land of make-believe, and it's not real. But in fact, it actually is real.
Yeah, and I would have thought the same thing if it wasn't for Ryan, because Ryan is somebody I know and respect and trust. Yeah. And if it wasn't for him sharing about it, I don't think that I would have been like, no.
Yeah. And so when I started, I feel like right now, here's the crazy part: the technology is moving so fast, and the amount of knowledge that you gain actually goes really fast. You can, what we got involved with, which we're going to share the opportunity later, is a mastermind. It's not just a mastermind, but it's an entire course on what is crypto, and like what is a software wallet and a hardware wallet, and what are some of the best platforms to use when you're getting into crypto. And it's not just like, okay, guys, crypto is awesome. Have you ever seen those YouTube shorts or those,
Oh my God,
those
yes.
TikTok shorts? And they're like, they don't, and I get it. Like, it's actually not a horrible technique. They're just like, guys, and they always have this, guys, I just found the best way to make, and they throw out some number to make $8,000 a month. No one's doing this. And then they're always like, let's go. And then they turn around, and then they're like, and they're going to like show you like the back room where they've been like a beautiful mind. And they're like, we're going to do all this stuff. And they don't tell you anything. Like, it doesn't even make sense. They might show you a website, and it's like, it's clickbait. And I get it. Maybe they're selling a course. Maybe they're trying to connect you with something, but what we're doing, guys, is not clickbait. And so slowly, I was still doing Amazon for a while, but I was realizing, okay, I had this amount of money to buy in Amazon, and I'm only, and my margins for most of you guys, if you're doing 20 or 30%, that's really good, right? And so my margins, whatever, and they were probably close to 15, 20%, just depending on what was happening. And I outsourced everything to a prep center. But I started realizing, man, like my margins right now in a safe way with crypto are really, really growing significantly. It actually feels a little bit less risky in some ways to get involved in some of these crypto investments, where I know I'm going to get, and some of these platforms are regularly producing 30, 40, and even 50% a month, right? And I'm going to say it that way because there's some that might be doing, there's safe investment platforms now.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy, right? But they're actually safe. There's companies that have been around, 2, 3, 4 years now, which in the crypto space is like decades, right? But they've been around for that long, consistently producing, one sec.
Yeah, I'm in 2 of those spaces now, and I got Lucy involved in them too. And one, I make weekly money right on the nose, and the other, I'm daily making money every single day. And it takes me less than 5 minutes to manage both of those a day.
I just wanted to jump in and say that I'm kind of attacking crypto like I attacked Amazon and selling. I'm doing one thing at a time, learning one platform at a time, going off the recommendations of everybody else that are in these groups that say, this is a good one to start with or whatnot. And just saying, okay, I like this one. I'm going to learn everything I can about this one, figure out how to get the money in and out, how, what the ROIs are. And just like Amazon, you need to go wide, not deep. I'm not going to put all my money into one single thing and anything in my life. And that's not just Amazon, not just crypto. We have personally, we have retirement accounts, we have a college fund, we have our money spread out so that if things do go south, you are covered by something else. And that's the same with Amazon, and it's the same with crypto. Mm-hmm. Like you said, you could buy a product and it could be great when you look at it, and by the time it gets into Amazon, it's garbage. So you don't want to have all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. And so as I started to grow this thing, I started to, and even here's the thing, guys, just like with Amazon, like I had a few wins when I started off in the crypto space, and I had some significant, like we talk about doing our due diligence and doing research. And there was one platform, which shall not be named, but at the time it's like, we were just excited about it. It looked amazing. But the problem, one thing I will say, guys, is if you have a platform that has one of the questions that we teach people how to ask is, how is this platform making money? Is it real? Is it imaginary? How is it actually producing money? And some of these platforms, when they say they have, I don't have a problem with referrals and affiliates because we use those a lot. But if some platform says they have like 5 levels of referrals, and each of those levels pays out 5 to 10%, that's screaming at you. It's a Ponzi scheme, meaning that it's entirely dependent upon new money coming in. right? The US dollar is a Ponzi scheme. Okay. Meaning it's entirely dependent upon them continuing to print more money. And so this idea of money became just an idea in 1971 when we went off the gold standard. So the only reason your dollar bill is worth anything is because our government says, hey, people, this is worth something. It's this idea that, something has value. It's the same with crypto. Like, why does Bitcoin and anything else have value? Well, so when people are like, oh, Bitcoin's this or that, I'm like, you must not know the history of money, because if you actually study it, you realize that this digital currency, I was explaining to my wife the other day, she's like, how does this work? Like, do we get that money from the metaverse, or like, how do I, like, what do I do? How do we get that? How do we make that money tangible? And I go, well, sweetheart, you realize that debit card you have, none of that money on there is real. It's a credit that your bank says you have on your card based on how much money we put in the bank, but none of that money's at the bank. They're trading it in the stock market. That's why you have a withdrawal limit. So even the debit card that you have, that's just a digital representation of the dollars you've given to the bank, and none of those dollars are at the bank.
Right.
If this is a revelation to you guys, go do some YouTube videos on it. But that's the power of realizing how just the idea of money. So as I got involved in these investments, guys, I'm still actually paying off an Amazon loan. Many of you guys maybe have leveraged Amazon loans, but I'm paying it off with crypto. Right?
I love it.
So for me, yeah. So I mean, like, just to give you a chance, we know guys who were making, $300, $400, $500 a day. I'm now, making, well over $1,000 a day just in crypto, and that's a day. And that's not, remember, guys, that's with no inventory.
Yeah. No inventory.
It's not like I'm buying and then flipping something. I'm literally, and I do have, several different buckets I'm investing in with crypto, but I'm producing that every day passively in the background. And you know what it does, guys, is it frees you up to learn new skills. Mm-hmm. So my encouragement isn't even like, get into crypto so you don't have to do it. It's like, get into crypto to free yourself up to do what you're passionate about.
Yeah. And there's so many people in our group that have such incredible passion projects.
Wow.
We have the one guy in our group that is really involved in recovery programs, right? For Alcohol Anonymous,
Absolutely.
Narcotics Anonymous.
Yeah.
There was the story. There was a story of the gentleman who was a doctor, who is not directly in our group, but wasn't it that he had built a hospital in another country where they didn't have good medical care? And there are people using crypto, not only now to support themselves, but also to do good in the world. And I just love this group of people. It's so inspiring. And for those watching, it's just hard to understand some of the things Jeremy's talking about, or what I'm trying to convey to you, because without being in the group and hearing people's testimonies and their stories, how this form of investing has changed their life, as well as the lives of people just out there in the world. They're doing good. It's not a group of people that are about like, oh, I can't wait to get my Lambo and my, this is the big mansion that I live in,
Right. I mean, there are those people out there, but here's the thing, guys, like when you have a lot of money, but you're not using it to help people, it's boring. Like, money is like, just having it, to me, it's like, I mean, unless your life is all about just getting more stuff, even for people that I know that don't have meaningful lives, they realize, you look at these Hollywood guys, these people, and life, just like, the Bible says, life doesn't consist in the multitude of things that you possess. Oftentimes people don't have possessions. They have things that possess them, and they're consumed. And so I don't think it's wrong to, here's what I tell people. If I was to hand you $1 million, it wouldn't change your life. It would reveal who you already were.
Yeah.
Right. Money doesn't change you so much as it reveals what was already there. That's why these guys that, have you ever watched these stories of people that won the lottery? and then 1, 5, 10, 20, 50 million. Many of them historically, just statistically, they go bankrupt in about a year or two.
Yeah.
Because they actually don't know how to steward their money. The issue actually isn't money, it's stewardship. And so
what you do with what you have. Yeah.
And that's also why the whole get rich quick schemes, not only do they mostly not work, but they're dangerous, because if you actually did get rich quick, you would be in a world of trouble, because you would, if you don't have restraint with money now, when you're barely, maybe you're bringing in whatever, 2, 3, 4,000 a month, whatever it is, then you're going to have a hard time if you're making significantly more than that, in some sense, because it's a lot more money to steward. And yeah, praise God, you can pay off your bills and you can do these things. But what we found with crypto, as Tina was saying, is once you start growing in that space, now it's like, okay, now I have to learn how to like what was talked about, how do I diversify, and how do I navigate this space in a safe way? Because I'm telling you, if you think like going down to downtown, LA or New York or Nevada is bad, somewhere, maybe in Las Vegas at night in a certain shady area, just getting on the internet with some of these bad actors, you have to learn basic things like using a VPN on your computer, which is a virtual private network, and not just making your password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And
oh, shit, I gotta change mine.
and things like that. So, yeah, and I want to share just one of the platforms. And again, my point in sharing this platform isn't even to be like, it's all about this one platform. I'm just going to kind of give you an example.
Before you do, if I could ask, people are asking if there is a group or something that they can go to start learning the basics. Do you have a group to plug?
Great. Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys for asking, and we definitely want to answer any questions, and we're going to have time for some live Q&A as well. So thanks for bringing that up. So yeah, so we're all most of us are connected, including Tina, to a mastermind group. And this is what I love about this mastermind. And we are going to put links. Tina, I believe you have those.
I do have links below. I have links to your calendar for scheduling a call with you. I also have a link to the group. Well, they should be a link in our YouTube video. I put it on the main YouTube page.
This is what I've got from on the links. Just a second, I'll share my screen. I've got this, but this is not free, or I don't know what this is. You maybe could tell me, but no, there is no links to
okay,
his.
I have it here. If people are watching on my YouTube channel, in my description, I had everything put there. So I don't know what has happened to it if it's no longer there.
I see it. It did not go to mine, so I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So yes, I have.
Why don't you? Yeah, while you're doing that, why don't you throw those links in there?
Yeah, I will on it.
Yeah, so the links that I have are for Jeremy. If anybody wants a consultation with Jeremy, a link to the group that Jeremy and I both purchased. It's a group that you purchased. There's a link to that one. And that's where we learned how to do what we're doing and how we met each other. And then I don't know if that's the link from my video, then yeah, that's the page. Yeah. I look at the page it takes you to, but yes.
Yeah. So if you guys want more info, the link when you go to this that's being shared, our friend Travis is going to go into all the different you can see what's included here. An entire course basically, and not only a course, but there's a Facebook group. Which again, the whole point isn't that you're learning in isolation.
You're learning with a group and have people to ask and bounce ideas off of.
Yeah, and then you guys can see here I have. For most of you guys, if you're new to this space and you're like, oh my goodness, I just want to find out how this works, and like I'm kind of overwhelmed with the idea. I have 2 different like coaching call opportunities down there. One of them is just like an exploration call is what I call it. Let's figure out where you're at on your passive income journey. What are your goals? What are you wanting to do? And then after that, we could book a longer call. Some of you guys are just like, tell me why, whatever. Maybe you're just going to get on the call and you're going to be like, why should I trust you? Like, why? Like, like, who are you? You know, like, and so that's just like a short 20-25 minute call. And we're just going to explore, maybe you have specific questions like that really get into the nitty gritty of your life. And we don't have, time to go over it here. Book an exploration call with me. If you're like, dude, I want to sign up, and you're like, awesome. What we love about this group, guys, we don't want to go, you can read more about it, but the mastermind, you guys, how many of you I've paid for $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 Amazon courses, right? So we're not even doing that. This course is split up into quarters. And so for around $1,200 a year, right? A year, not a month, right? A year, you can get involved in this crypto passive income reality that we're talking about. And you can here's what I love. Our friend Travis has some opportunities where he's like, my goal is to literally make this course free for you guys. So we have some platforms where you jump on and you just invest a little bit, you can invest. Here's the thing, guys, the returns on, it's just hard to comprehend. So for some of you guys, you're going, if I spend $1,000, right, on inventory, from many of you, whatever, maybe your margins are 30 or 40%, maybe even 50%. And you're like, but that would be kind of a home run. And maybe some of you guys are like, dude, I'm making 80 to 100%. Bro, you just do that. Do that until Jesus comes back. Just keep selling. Like if you're making 50, 60, 80% profit on Amazon, then keep doing that and get involved in crypto. But for many of you, if you were to spend $1,000, you might only expect a $200 or $300 return. There's some of these platforms that are relatively safe. Now remember, the disclaimer with crypto is it's like the stock market, right? It's in one sense, everything is risky, but there's ways to minimize your risk. But some of these platforms, you can put $1,000 into it, and within a month, it's going to produce you $550 plus what you put into it. So we're not talking, I put $1,000 in and then I make, $50. And so therefore I have to put in, $100,000 to even, make a few $1,000s a month. Some of these platforms, if you put in $5,000, you would have $2,500 profit a month if you just let it sit there. And this passive income engine mastermind that we're telling you guys about, like I said, it's an entire course. So you can go step by steps. Someone's going to be holding your hand. What is the cryptocurrency, and like, how do I set up a wallet, and how do I get involved in these platforms, and what's a safe way to navigate it? And then there's going to also be an entire face group mastermind. We have some amazing people over there. I think there's something like 500 people or more involved now in that mastermind. So if you have a question, I'm telling you, it's crazy because people will post questions in that group, and it's like, there's so many awesome people on there that almost instantly it's like the face. Have you ever been in a mastermind? It's like, no one even answers questions, and you're like, I don't really know what's happening, but we have a very involved community over there.
And they do answer right away. And then for those that are more advanced and who already have been playing with crypto, Jeremy and I are also involved in another group, but that's for people who already know how to navigate and move their funds around in the crypto world, because it is different than just regular banking with regular money.
Yeah, and our goal, guys, is not to just like to shill just one project or one platform. And that's why if you're out there and you're going, well, man, I have a little bit, how would you know if you have a little bit of experience with crypto? Literally just book one of those 20-minute calls with me. And I'm telling you, I will be able to assess within 5 minutes if you're a beginner, or if you already know what DeFi is. Maybe you've been invested in crypto for a while, and you're like, man, I actually don't need an introductory course. Like, I could teach an introductory course. That's amazing. And we actually have other like really experienced masterminds groups that we're involved in, as Tina mentioned. And we could point you to that group,
Yeah. And for those out there too, I started with $1,000. Like, that's what I started with, just for full transparency, because I was a little bit like, I don't know, but I want to try it.
And honestly, guys, that's what I would encourage for anyone out there. Maybe you're going, Now I only have an extra, $500 or $1,000 or $2,000, and that's, I don't have a lot extra. Honestly, that's how we would encourage everyone to start, is you kind of have to see it work. And so back in May, I had just been involved in some different platforms that, were riskier and dangerous. I'd lost some money, and I was like, I just need to go slower. And so I took my time, and because you can get so excited. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Ah! And that's awesome. But we encourage you to go methodically, go step at a time. So for Tina's a great example. She's like, okay, I'm going to put in 1,000. But then once you see this is actually real,
it's exciting,
right? It might take you a month or two. Like, again, this is not like a, we're not just telling you to go throw your money somewhere and then all of a sudden, you're living on a beach, in the Caribbean or something. But I'm telling you, this is a roadmap that if you follow it and you learn, there's incredible potential so that you could start going, man, maybe for some of you, it's, man, I'm doing 30, 40, 50 hours a week hustling on Amazon. For some of you guys, for some of you guys, it's, man, I only have to do 10 hours a week now on Amazon because I have this other thing going in the background, this passive crypto, reality going in the background of my life. And then it opens up a world of possibilities. You're like going, man, I've been wanting to get into blogging, but I haven't been able to because I've been doing Amazon 40 hours a week. Now you have time to do that. Or, I have a passion for ministries, and I'm a house church pastor myself. And I have guys who are like, man, I'm having to work 2 or 3 extra jobs just to make ends meet at the church. And I have a passion to help connect those guys. And of course, really everyone, Amazon sellers. Maybe you're an entrepreneur. Maybe you're a stay-at-home mom and you have 3 kids and your husband's working so hard, but we know how things are with inflation and the economy. And you're like going, what are some extra ways? Because I'm juggling all these beautiful kids. I just don't have time to go look for inventory or on Amazon. This is something literally, guys, Tina can testify. It's a stupid, it's so little. It's almost absurd how little time you spend every day.
Very little time.
I mean, you're talking now on the front end, there's a learning curve, right? Just like with anything else on the front end, you're going to have to learn. But once you learn it, I mean, Tina and I probably spend, 10 or 15 minutes a day updating our accounts. And sometimes when it's more than that, it's just because we're sitting in front of our screen going, hallelujah, this is awesome. Yes, Lord, this is great. Because you're really just looking at your accounts and going, wow, how can this be real?
Yeah.
And we're not trying to sell like some kind of fantasy world of like, if you just sign up, like we're not about that. We want to connect people to platforms in crypto that are safe, where you can learn, where you can ask questions. And there's even opportunities where, like, we know a guy, there's a particular platform that you learn about in the group called NovaTech. And they're a company that's been around for almost 4 years, right? And they're very, very they're basically you invest with them, and they're kind of like a crypto hedge fund, right? But they're very, very safe. They're very transparent. Their entire team is transparent. But guys, like it's crazy. This number, like for some of us in crypto, we're like, that's not that much. But like they're producing regularly between 10 and 15% return a month, right? A month.
And we have like about 15 minutes left. So did you have anything you wanted to share? I see the screen below for sharing.
Yeah, I definitely want to share.
Oh.
yeah. Let me, I actually had, I popped my screen closed whenever we were dealing with that initial.
With my error. So then I had to
let me just go real quick.
While you're doing that, I can share mine. This is my NovaTech. And so this is kind of my crypto notes that I will share again when we do a crypto update. But I started in NovaTech. I did $100 on the 8th just to kind of like, is this real? And I was like, no, I can throw $100 at it that I had in another account. And then it was, so I put 800 in there, and now I'm consistently making $30 a week. So $30 a week is not anything to sneeze at, but I'm putting that $30 back in every time. So every 3 weeks I'm getting $100 more to the account. So my $920 is now up to $1,400. I've made $153 off of Novatech. And that was money that just, I don't want to call it my play money, but it was money that was sitting in a savings account that would not earn me $30 a week.
No.
For sure. It was doing nothing.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we want to, it's important. Disclaimers are important. Like sometimes people can just be like, yeah, but they are. Like, we're obviously none of us are financial advisors, and we're none of us are certified CPAs, and we're not telling you. We're showing you our journey, and inviting you to consider it, and consider getting involved in the crypto space, because there are going to be varying results, and and some of them aren't typical, but what we're sharing right now is pretty typical in the sense of, if you have, even if you don't have a lot right now, maybe, Q4 is coming up, right? Many of you guys are excited about Q4, and many of you guys in January, you have a little bit more like, man, I did decent in Q4. I have some profits. So it's maybe you get involved right now and you just start learning how this stuff works. And then you just start going, all I can do right now is $50, dude. Start with $50.
That's my plan, is to start and then build it up. And then, like you said, there's different projects. So one is Novatech. One we've talked about a lot is Stable Fund in the communities. And so those are the two that I'm in. And then I'm looking at my third. So once I get those up and going, then get a third and a fourth and a fifth, and kind of spreading those eggs out. Did you want to share your screen?
Yeah. Yes. Anything you wanted to share?
Yeah, let me just share real quick one of the platforms, and let me share my screen real quick here. Yes, share screen.
And while he's pulling that up, this is not my actual money, but a page in my phone. For those that can see, you can see I get 1.5% a day daily return on my money in this particular account. Yeah. 1.5% a day is nothing to sneeze at.
No, and that's where I am with the Stable Fund. I am consistently making $10 a day there. And so I'm going to be putting more money into that, because that's
$70 a week. Yeah. And how long does that take you every day to click your buttons?
2 seconds.
Yeah.
I saw it go up and then it came back down, Jeremy. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm trying to, I'm sharing it, but I'm wanting to share another screen than the one that's right in front of me. And so I'm trying to figure out what the best way is to do that.
Yeah, I have I'll add this one just while we're waiting.
Yeah, you're good.
So I have this one right now, and if I have, this is my Stable Fund interest calculator, and if I have $800 in there and we started on the 22nd, it just calculates how much money you would get and when it would be. So if I wanted to pull out, if I did $800 by Christmas, I would have $3,000.
It's incredible.
And that's a nice Christmas shopping for the family.
Oops. All right. Tell me when you're on the screen you want to share, and I'll pop it in.
Okay, I'm on the screen.
There we go.
Let's see if it'll let me.
There we go.
What are you seeing right now?
Your Optimist page.
Perfect. So for some of you guys, I'm just going to connect my wallet here. So right now, if you guys can see on the screen, this is going to show a big number. I didn't get in with a whole lot on this number, but you can see my wallet right here. I actually got into this project just for some of you guys to see some bigger numbers. Again, our point here isn't to be braggadocious, but just to show you the potential.
What's possible? It's possible.
Exactly. It's possible. So my wallet, when I originally got into this project, you can see up here in the top right, it's now $1.09, if you can see that. Yeah. And when I got in, it was trading at about 20 or 30 cents. And I found out about this opportunity from another mastermind I'm involved in. I was like, man, I researched the project. It's running with some really unique features that make it sustainable. So I was able to get in, and with like a bigger chunk of money, it was like around 20K. I got in. And for many of you guys, you're going to spend 20, 30, 40, 50K around Q4 for many of you, right? So it's a little over 20K. And so now you can see my wallet balance here. And then this is what I'm bringing in every day right here, that number,
$869 a day just on this project.
Just on this one project, right? There's 3 or 4 more projects I'm involved in. And then the cool part, most of these platforms, you can see what let's just say you had, maybe you're going to put in 5,000. A lot of these you can see, so like in a month time, if I put in 5,000, this is giving you 1% a day. So, fast forward a month and, you've made, over $3,000 with a $5,000 investment, you shoot out to 90 days and you can see that initial
amazing.
That initial 5,000 would turn into 14,000, right? And so, you can just kind of see there, this is just one project. There's some of these projects, the one they were mentioning, Stable Fund, it's giving you not just 1%, it's 1.5%. So you're making 3% every day. So if you just calculated that out, that would be, 45%, a month. I'm going to stop my sharing there. Just in one of these projects. And kind of our strategy, guys, just real quick. And then we have a few minutes. I want to take any other questions that come out. But our strategy here, there's certain projects that seem to be like, I would put Stable Fund in this category. They're really catalytic, meaning they have a high production value. They produce a lot of passive income every day. And so the strategy isn't like just keep putting more money into that one project, but like was mentioned earlier, like what you're doing, diversifying and going, okay, I'm doing pretty well with this project. I'm going to take whatever, $1,000 profit, and I'm going to waterfall that into another project. Maybe the other project's been around for 2 or 3 years. So like for Novatech, many of us are treating Novatech almost like a savings account. It's a high yield savings account because it's producing about 12% a month. But we're taking some of our profits from projects that have been around, for 6 months. And we're going, man, they seem like they're doing really well and they seem like they could be around for a while. But just to make sure I'm diversifying, I'm going to take some of those profits. And that way, guys, here's my point. If you had $20,000 to invest, right, it would be better to not have like 10K in one project and 10K in another project. It'd be better to have, 5 projects with $4,000 in them, or 4 projects with 5, as opposed to just one project with a bunch of money in it. Because that, just like Amazon, right? If one of your products tanks, you still have 5 or 6 or 7 or 100 other products that you can sell.
They're doing good. And this is such a great time of year because Q4 sales, most sellers have bigger payouts. Right. And, what a great time to take some of that extra income that you're getting in your biweekly or weekly payouts and take a chance on yourself and invest some of it.
Absolutely.
We have a question from Eli here. How is the profit you end up with taxed?
That's a whole nother ball game, isn't it?
So Eli, that's a great question. I'm going to answer it by sort of not answering it, but I'm going to tell you my thoughts on it. I would say, the tax implications of crypto and our current tax code in the U.S. might be one of the most complicated parts about this whole situation with crypto, but don't let that keep you out of the space, right? Because think about Amazon when you first started, right? And then many of you start making good profit and you're like, oh no, I need to how does this work? I need to form an LLC and I need to do an S Corp or a C Corp. and you had to figure all that stuff out. It didn't keep you from starting on the Amazon journey. And so, I'm in the process of talking to some really brilliant crypto CPAs and some other people who over time, I'm making relationships with, and we can recommend different people. Unfortunately, our government doesn't really, they still view, I'll just say it this way, they don't view crypto as currency, which I think is absolutely insanely ridiculous, just like most of the things our precious government does with a lot of different industries. So they view crypto as property, just like if you had a real estate house, or you had a rental. So because of that, it's mostly short-term and long-term capital gains. Like if you're, in some of these projects, or some of them are just taxed as regular income, right? So like with stable fund, you're staking a certain amount of crypto, and then every day it's producing a certain amount of crypto. If it's a stable coin that's pegged to the US dollar, there's something called a stable coin, which means it's $1 per dollar. That's really normally just taxed as regular income. In other words, your cost basis would be like whatever, $3,000 or $4,000, whatever you put into it. And then whatever you produce above that initial amount, that's going to be what you would owe the IRS according to your tax bracket. But of course, like, I would defer to your CPA. But if you do have a CPA, make sure they understand crypto, because many of them don't. And like I said, I'm really involved in conversations right now, like heavily involved. But at the time when I started, guys, I just want to say this, I didn't know how all the taxes worked, but I would just say you don't have to understand how all the taxes work to get started, unless you're like, dude, I have $100,000. I want to drop into this tomorrow.
And some people do.
That's awesome.
I don't have that, but it'd be great.
if you have like 20 or 30 or $100,000 to drop in, then there are more tax implications. Good question. Does your location matter when buying crypto? Generally not, I guess, unless you're in China or North Korea, right? There's that caveat. But generally, your location there are certain platforms. For example, in Texas, you can't sign up for Binance or Binance US, right? There's certain platforms that you actually won't be able to sign up for. But in general, you can do crypto from anywhere in the world, in almost any state. And so that's another good question. Any other questions that you see on there as we kind of wrap things up?
There was how to get started. Let me find it really quick. Where do we start Novatech or stable fund? Great question, Nate. So my encouragement, Nate, would be to, once you jump into that mastermind and you sign up and make your first payment, all of those investment platforms, it's not that we're not willing to tell you about it, but like I care about you too much just to say, go on there and jump on it now without understanding how crypto works. Now, if you already understand how crypto works, I would just, and you're like, dude, I don't need the I would encourage everyone to jump on the mastermind, but like, there's no have to. If for some reason you're like, dude, I have the money right now, I already know how crypto works. Then schedule a short call with me, and I'll show you where to go on those two things. If you're just like, I want to do it now, but then for 90% of you, we would encourage you to jump into the mastermind, because within the mastermind, like one of the first, like probably the very first investment opportunity that they go into in the course is stable fund, and the next one after that is Novatech. And what they're going to do is they're going to walk your hand, they're going to hold your hand and help you set up your accounts, help you know how to fund your accounts. Because guys, if like the crazy part about crypto is like you can send crypto, and if you don't send it on the right network, it just goes into the metaverse. It goes into Doctor Strange's alternate reality, and you don't get it back. So there's actually it's almost like with our banks, it's like, oh, I just send it to this bank, I send it to that bank, I swipe my debit card. It's like that, but you have to know like what digital pathway does this crypto live on, so I don't send it to somewhere crazy. Do you have a promo code for the course for the listeners here for acting now? Tina, do you want to address that?
I don't. I didn't even think to ask for one. I just got a link to the course. But yeah, that's a great question.
Great question. I do know our friend Ryan is at a conference right now. And so I do know that he probably could set you up with one, Tina.
Yeah.
And because he's done that for me for other groups. So that's a great question. I will say this, that and my encouragement, would be obviously to stay in it, but like I know people who like they sign up for the mastermind. I think the price is like $3.99 right now per quarter. That's for 4 months, right? So you're talking $100 almost a month per quarter, right? So it's just $100. If you get through 4 months and you're like, man, I feel like I kind of know what I'm doing, and I want to move up to a different mastermind, I want to kind of, hop out, that's fine as well. We're not, this isn't something we're saying you have to be in it for years, but we would recommend that everyone who is interested in the crypto space would we just need to get some training, figure out how all of it works. Because I have friends who call me all the time, and I'm like, bro, I can answer that question, but it's an hour-long answer. And so why don't you go look at this video, if that makes sense?
You guys, I'm hopping off because I have to go to the dentist, everybody.
So you do have to go to the dentist.
We'll finish this up, and you guys have a great day and make lots of money.
Good luck. Okay, this is going to be the last question from Cynthia here. Are you worrying that the U.S. won't support crypto at all in the future? I don't think they have a choice.
So that's a great question. So I don't want to get that's a massive question. I don't want to get into it, but when Bitcoin was created in 2010, 2011, it actually was created because of the housing crisis that happened in 2008. And the whole idea was to have a decentralized form of digital money that wasn't connected to banks, that wasn't connected to the housing market and those kinds of things. And so, like, for instance, China has tried to ban the transfer and sale of cryptocurrency like 5 times, and they can't. And the reason is it's impossible to ban it. Governments could always make it illegal, I suppose, but it's actually impossible to ban it, because what's happening is you have computer networks around the world who are ensuring that the digital ledger, which is the blockchain, continues to run. So here's the thing. In the short term, more regulation is actually good for crypto, because you have billionaires who won't invest because they don't feel like there's enough regulation. So if our government starts to regulate crypto, you'll see a spike in the market. It'll actually go up, because right now there's not a ton of regulation. And so I think as regulation rolls out, you're actually going to see the prices of cryptocurrencies go up. But it's a great question. Again, that's why we're saying, like, we wouldn't, nobody take out your mortgage money or take out all of your 401k or any of those things to invest. Yeah.
I have seen, because my husband's in IT and he's actually set up crypto miners in the past, but I have seen just kind of there's been more acceptance with crypto over the years. You start seeing companies are now taking crypto. Starbucks just came out with NFTs. So Starbucks is in the game.
Yep.
My crypto.com wallet, you can now get Visa-backed debit cards that you can pay for things. And people are saying that's easier when you travel to other countries, because you are just exchanging your crypto for whatever currencies in the country, and it's making it easier. So you didn't see Visa-backed debit cards 5 years ago, but now you see them. So you see it becoming more and more acceptable and less taboo, in all the markets in most countries. It's not all out there yet. There's a lot of potential for growth there. I was just going to say, for everybody that is wanting to dabble in this and think about it, having a coaching call and having somebody to walk you through is amazing. If you're not quite there, go to Google, go to YouTube. There is a ton of videos out there. And like anything, it's just going to take a lot of time to soak in and see. And think about it when you were starting Amazon. There's all sorts of things going on with Amazon. There's IP complaints, and there's stores, and there's sourcings. There's different places to source. But there's also the gray area, the black hat tactics. There are scammers. There are people that hijack links. There are drop shippers that make it bad for the rest of the community. And the same is in the crypto community. So what I did was I just started a page of notes, and I started writing down on the notes, because I'd be like, what are they talking about? And I have to go Google, like, what is that? And write down the definition and learn the language, and find different YouTubers that would offer valuable information, join different groups and see what they're talking about. And you don't have to be involved right away. You could just kind of see what's going on. What are they talking about? What is FUD? What is, the different networks that people are doing things are on? What does a project mean? What does drip mean? These are all things that I had no clue what they were 2 months ago. And I have a little bit more of a clue now, but not much. And then you could get into masterminds and get into what you feel is going to be good for you in your situation. And like Jeremy said, you can start with $50. You don't have to start with huge amounts. Put $50, learn it, use it like a learning experience. Just like if you were going to get ungated in something or test a brand out, you put $50 towards it, that if you lost the $50, it wouldn't, you wouldn't break the bank, and you will learn so much from them and then build up to those higher numbers that you're more comfortable with. Because like, I'd love to invest 80,000. I am so scared. I would not, I'm not at the level where I'm comfortable putting 80 grand towards something, but I'm at the couple $1,000 range now. Whereas a couple months ago, I was at the $50 range. So build up that comfort, build up that knowledge, give Jeremy a call, get his advice. He is definitely, Tina's been working with you since when? Last
Since
year?
May. Yeah.
Since
May. Yeah. So, and I'd be happy to, and I'm not just going to, like, if I hear your situation and I might, in other words, I'm not just in this I want to help people. I'm at the point where it's not for me. I do have to, I have to manage my time well and my money to time ratio. But my point isn't to like buy my course. Like, if I might listen to your story and go, actually, I would wait to invest in crypto, and I would do, like, the goal of my coaching call isn't to just sell you on joining the mastermind or sell you on something. It's actually, I do a lot of life coaching and counseling. So my goal would be to look at your whole financial situation and go, what are the next steps for you to be able to free yourself through passive income in crypto? So,
and I have to say that I definitely practice what I preach, and I started doing this crypto stuff back in August after Tina had opened my eyes to it. And I have joined several Telegram groups, and I'm very like, I don't have anything to contribute. So I'm just kind of a lurker. I feel like a peeping Tom, but I have seen Jeremy help many other people in some of those other groups. So I've screenshotted. I've been like, is this your Jeremy person, Tina? Just behind the scenes. She's like, yeah, he's super nice. He helps out. And I'm like, yeah, I can tell that this person has been willing to help other people out. And they're not just, let's see here. What do you get? You get like fake people that are impersonating and whatnot on different, YouTubes and channels and groups and whatnot. And Jeremy is not there. I have secretly lurked on you for months now, Jeremy.
Well, that's good. That's good feedback.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have had you on the channel.
Yeah, well, it's been a pleasure. So happy to be on here, and we hope to connect with many of you guys and continue to help you on your journey. So,
yes. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Thank you, Jeremy, for coming on and sharing your story. It's definitely an inspiration. And who doesn't want to make passive income and only work for, 20 minutes a day? That's definitely a goal of mine. That's good. So thank you. And everybody here, have an amazing day.
Take care, guys.